Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome to the final WRX update while driving a Civic Type R. Look, I even had the Subaru hoodie out for old time's sake. So if you're watching and you're not a subscriber, just to catch you up real quick, I owned a 2015 Subaru WRX for 6.5 years, pretty much exactly. And I recently traded that in for this car, which is a Honda Civic Type R. I do update videos all the time with my cars. I did it with my Z as well. And the last update video I had with my Subaru WRX was a 6-year update video, 20 minutes long. This video is gonna be a lot shorter, but it encompassed everything that's happened with the car after 6 years. It also talked about my final thoughts of what I thought about the car. When I traded this in at the 6.5 year mark, it was a really quick turnaround to get this car, so I didn't really have time to make that video. So I'm making kind of that final, really just wrapping up 6.5 years of the Subaru WRX. This will be pretty much that final video, but that's about it. I recommend, if you're a new viewer and you want a lot of detail, go to my 6-year video, go to my 6-year update video. I'll link it above. And check that out because that's probably tons of detail you want. This will just be kind of my final thoughts from there. Okay, so let's begin. So where to start? So after my 6-year update video, basically the only thing you need to know from that, if you're just kind of watching this video, is that I didn't really have any mechanical problems with the Subaru, except for, I would say, the AC unit went out, and it went out under warranty, got fixed fully by the dealer for free. But everything else, it was just oil changes, it was just tires, brakes, just the normal stuff. So that is where kind of my 6-year update video left off. And then again, there was 6 months in between before I sold the car. And there were actually a few things that happened, which is why I really wanted to do this video. So at about the 6-year, I guess I'd say like 4-month mark, probably a couple months before I sold the Subaru, I actually got a check engine light after driving on the highway for about 20 minutes. I was getting off of my exit and I still had like 5 minutes to go after my exit. I got off and you could just tell if like your engine's running a little weird or something's going on. Well, I got off, I stopped at the red light, and all of a sudden you can just feel it. Something was wrong going on. I didn't know what it was. I had a little bit of shake. It was like this slight sputter, and I don't know what's going on. And then again, for the new people, I had a stage 1 tune in my car and an intake, cob intake. That was pretty much all I had for performance. But anyway, so stopped at the red light, had something weird going on. I'm driving kind of through some back roads, some main roads for the last 5 minutes of my drive before I get home. And as I'm driving, it kind of seems to get back to normal as I'm picking up speed. And then when I'm actually turning into my development, when I'm turning into my development to get home, the check engine light kicks on. So I pull in the garage, I have my access port ready, plug that in, and it had a code for something with the catalytic converter. So I'm thinking it was probably an O2 sensor, something like an O2 sensor going out. I did some Googling afterwards. It seemed like that was the common theme with that specific code. So I knew I was kind of getting rid of this car anyway, but I got that code. I'm like, okay, so it's maybe an O2 sensor or something, not a huge deal. Those things go. I had 80,000 miles in the car, almost 80,000 miles. I think those usually last a little longer, but whatever. So the weird thing is that happened, okay, cool, went inside. A couple days later, I went to drive the car, no check engine light, it was gone. I didn't clear it, didn't do anything, it was just gone, and never came back for the last month or two of owning the car. So I never really did anything with it. The engine still ran, everything ran fine, it didn't do that sputtering again. And then of course I ended up selling it and it was fine. I got rid of it in a dealer trade, but something to note. Okay, and on to the second thing that happened is I had a tune on this car, or not this car, the Subaru WRX, for about 4 years, never had a problem. It was a stage 1 cob tune, off the shelf with an intake, and it was phenomenal. You got a lot more power in the high end, and then it completely almost eliminated the rev hang, which I didn't realize how bad it was in stock form until I went back to stock before I traded in the car. The rev hang sucks in stock form, where the cob tune got rid of almost all of it. So anyway, it was like the day before I traded in the car. I took some parts off the car, some headlights, etc. I took the tune off the car. You have to do some power cycles and stuff. Do that, and then it reflashes the stock tune. So stock tune's back on. I turn on the car, and the engine is just sputtering, misfiring. I mean, you can just tell for about the first 10 seconds of starting it up. And then it immediately starts running fine. Drove it for 15 minutes, runs fine, turned it on, turned it off multiple times, runs fine, but it had 10 seconds of just complete stuff you don't want to hear from your engine, trying to figure out what's going on. Now, I believe, I could be completely wrong, but I believe there maybe it had to do with the fact that the computer obviously had different air to fuel ratios in it with the tune. Go back to the stock tune, maybe there's some, I don't know enough about this stuff, but maybe there's some leftover air fuel kind of in the engine. And since the stock tune says it wants certain air to fuel, and there's already some different amounts in the engine from the stage 1 tune, that it took 10 seconds to figure that all out, sputtering, doing all that, and then runs fine after it figures all that out and the stock tune's back on it. Now, never threw a code, never threw a check engine, just sputtered, fine, drove it around. But I decided to just go into my access port and look if there were like previous codes, or I don't know if there's hidden codes. I don't know if they exist, like hidden check engine codes. But I went in there and it did show it. It showed engine misfire, you know, just that one time. And so I don't know what to do. It was the day before. It was running fine, but it showed that code. I'm guessing it didn't really damage the car. All it was just figuring out the stock tune again, doing that. I'm not sure. Something to note. But if you're looking kind of if you're looking at this video from like a long-term reliability standpoint, I don't think that had anything to do, that would have nothing to do, I think, with the stock tune of the car. If you kept your car stock, you don't have to worry about it. I think it just had to do with taking the tune off and the car figuring itself out. But like I said, I think I just want to keep this video shorter. That's it. The car's gone. I have the Civic Type R. There's going to be tons of videos on this car, of course, coming out. And final thoughts. I want to say go watch my 6-year video if you want to know final thoughts. The second half is kind of my final impressions and thoughts. The first half is all the reliability, everything, how everything held up, the interior, the mechanical stuff, the exterior, etc. Go check that out if you want. But final thoughts, love the Subaru WRX. It was a great car, especially for the price. There's nothing at that sub $30,000 range that has that performance and great all-wheel drive and amount of fun and practicality. There's like nothing there you can get in that price range that really competes, I think, with the WRX. Great car, loved it, just needed something new. Something updated, and something that was a little more focused. I think I said that in that video as well. The Subaru WRX is just not as much focus as like an STI. I just didn't want to get an STI because I want an updated engine. I don't want an EJ engine. I want to wait for like the new STI that has like a new type of FA 2.4 engine. So WRX just wasn't focused enough for me anymore. It just felt a lot like an Impreza with a lot more power and a little bit of stiffness, but love the car. That's about it. I'm just rambling. Check out the 6-year if you want to check that out. That is the all-encompassing one. It was a good ride with the car, but on to the next thing, right? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.